Hello, I'm John Eaves, Chairman of the Fulton County Commission.
And I'm Bobby Batista, Director of External Affairs for Chairman Eaves.
Well, we're going to mix things up a little bit here on the Chairman's Corner. Bobby and I are going to co-host a show together each month. Many of you may remember Bobby from her years anchoring at CNN, and I'm very thrilled to have her as part of my team here at Fulton County.
No, the honor is mine. I'm happy to be here and working with you. We will, of course, continue to bring you all the latest news from the Chairman's office, as well as interesting and informative guests on county matters important to you.
On today's show, we're going to take an initial look at the upcoming budget season. We're looking at a shortfall for 2013, but it's not all bad news.
I hope not. Meanwhile, it's nothing but good news for some area high school students headed to Brazil on a cultural exchange trip in a few months. We'll update you on Fulton County's highly successful Global Youth Leadership Program.
And after the defeat of the T-SPLOS, I'll have some final thoughts on where I think the transportation tax referendum is headed and who may be driving the next effort to ease traffic in the Atlanta region.
All right, John, let's start with the budget because we mentioned a few moments ago that we're headed for a shortfall, unfortunately, this year. What are we looking at?
Well, we're looking at probably about a $50 million shortfall. The Board of Commissioners a few weeks ago decided not to raise the millage rate. So we've actually held the line on taxes for at least 10 years. And so that's something I'm very proud of. But it's with dwindling revenues coming in, but at the same time, the expectation, the need to continue services. So we got this balance now of dwindling resources and revenue and continuing services. So we've got to deal with a shortfall in the next coming weeks and
Kind
months.
of a good news, bad news kind of thing. I mean, the good news is our property taxes aren't going up. But
Well, that's the good news for property
Yeah.
owners, but the difficult and the challenge is how to continue to provide services to the 1 million residents and with dwindling resources.
I know it's early in the process, but what sort of creative ways are we looking at the budget and how we can cut but still maintain the services important to the county?
Well, first of all, I think people need to realize we've actually gone through a process of reduction of services or reduction of or dealing with the shortfall of revenue over the past couple of years. We've actually cut out about $100 million over the past several years. Wow. So we've been doing this, and so we're almost at the bone, but I think that this is an opportunity now for us to be creative. We're starting the process within the next couple of weeks. We're going to have budget workshops. We will ultimately be asking department heads to submit their budgets for the 2013 year. We'll be looking at ways that we can do some consolidation, perhaps some outsourcing. So I think that this is an opportunity for us to be creative, looking at ways that we can find further inefficiencies in our operation. So this is an opportunity for us. We're certainly going to solicit public input as well in the process.
Perhaps we should help educate the citizens of Fulton County a little bit. I think probably very few people realize what's mandated that the county cover. So what areas are protected and what will not be cut?
Well, okay, so there are 159 counties in the state of Georgia, and each county is mandated by state law to provide certain services. So we're mandated to provide criminal justice. So this is the court system and the jail. And within the court system, you have Superior Court, State Court, Magistrate Court, the whole 9 yards, DA, and the jail. Along with the criminal justice piece, which is about 40% of our budget, we have to provide library services, and we also have to provide health and human services. And so those services are mandated by the state, and we have to provide those services. Now, there can be some ups and downs in terms of the allocation of resources, but we have to provide
But
those.
nobody's getting out of jail.
Nobody's getting out of jail.
For sure.
We're certainly going to keep
Yeah.
the jail doors closed, but we're going to actually, provide the support that's needed to keep the jail afloat, to keep staff in place, and to administer whatever services are needed for those who are incarcerated. But along with criminal justice, again, libraries. We have 33 libraries in the county. That's staff, these are books, and this is a whole operation that we have to sustain. We got a $176 million bond referendum that's kicking into place, and so now we got another maybe new libraries, 11 new libraries will be coming online in the next couple of years, and so that means more new libraries that need to be staffed. So we actually have this balance of challenge of maintaining services.
But the hours may be cut or
yeah, I mean,
something like that.
right now certain things are are not off the board in
Yeah.
terms of consideration. And so we have done a good job in terms of making sure that our libraries are open during the week and in some cases on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. But what Fulton County does, unlike what other counties in the metro region, what they do, we actually have quite a bit of extended hours. And so we may have to cut back on hours so that we can reduce the cost of the staffing of the libraries.
Is there anything that you're particularly worried about in terms of cuts that may need to be made that may threaten certain parts of county services?
I'm not worried, because I think the commission has been very, very judicious, has been very, very prudent in terms of managing our resources, but at the same time understanding the breadth of the services that are needed throughout the county. So I think that in the criminal justice area, yes, we can look at ways that we can be more efficient. Yes, we can look at how we can invest in diversion as opposed to putting all the monies in the incarceration piece. I mean, I think the research shows that diversion programs, accountability courts are more cost effective than the incarceration piece. So we can figure out ways that we can be more efficient, particularly in the criminal justice area. The library area, again, we addressed that briefly in terms of maybe cutting some of the hours. We still want to make sure that the shelves are stacked with books and when the library is open, it's fully staffed. And in the health and human services area, we have an ongoing commitment to Grady Hospital. Over the past several years, we've funded as much as $100 million of the hospital to affirm our commitment to the indigents, those who are uninsured. It's gone down in the most recent years to about $55 million. So we're going to hopefully still sustain a sizable amount of money to support the hospital because it's important to the whole region. In human services also, we have senior services, we have children's services.
That's what they'll wonder about.
Yeah, and so we have 4 multipurpose facilities throughout the county. Each of them does a great job in terms of supporting seniors, whether it's the Benson Center, the Boughton Center, the Mills Center, or the Darnell Center. So we're going to make sure that we support the senior community through the operation of our services, the recreational services we provide, the lifelong learning services that we provide, a space where seniors can go during the day, as well as our children's services. So we have our Teen Dads program, we have leadership programs, we have after-school programs. So I think that we're going to still figure out how we can provide those services, but I think we have to become creative in terms of, let's say, coming up with public-private partnership. So how can we work with the private community in terms of identifying resources to support the public dollars that we have? So again, this crossroads in terms of dwindling revenue, but at the same time, the need to provide services provides us with opportunities to be creative in terms of some partnership opportunities, in terms of being aggressive about grants on both the state and the federal level.
And now along those lines, do you throw this process out and open to the citizens of Fulton County? Can they participate, make suggestions, come to the board meetings? How can they get involved?
Bobby, that part is crucial. And in the past, we've had listening sessions throughout the county in terms of eliciting or soliciting input from constituents in terms of what do you think are some of the most important areas in terms of services that the county provides. We've actually done that the past year and got great feedback from the public. But as part of the budget process, we have public hearings in all of the districts within the county. There are 5 districts that we have within the county. Each of the districts holds a public hearing. And even during the formal process, all our meetings are public. Citizens are welcome to come. So we certainly are transparent. We certainly are inclusionary in terms of the public participating. And we also realize that even though we are involved in the process, we don't have all the answers sometimes. And so sometimes you can get the great aha idea from the citizen on the street who participates in the process.
And to that point, we should say that as much as we empathize and understand complaints, we would really like to hear ideas in that process.
Right. Citizens were very clear in terms of holding the line on taxes. And so we, the board, we unanimously said we're going to hold the line on taxes and not raise the millage rate. So citizens were very, very vocal and let their opinions and their beliefs known during that process. Now we certainly welcome the opportunity for people to have input in terms of what services are important, as well as what creative ways that we can explore in terms of delivering those services, as well as figuring out some creative ways of bringing in additional revenue to the county.
Well, I won't put you on the spot and ask you if you see a tax increase coming down the line.
Well, the 5 years that I've been, well,
yeah.
the 5 years that I've been here, I have certainly not raised the millage rates, and I don't
very
foresee
proud of that
happening coming in the future.
All right, great. Thanks, John. Coming up in just a few moments, next stop, Recife, Brazil, and Points Beyond. We'll talk with the chairman and Jasmine Young about the Global Youth Leadership Program. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Chairman's Corner. Joining us now is Jasmine Young, Special Projects Assistant to Chairman Eaves, who has the unbelievably fun job of planning a trip to Brazil for some truly lucky students this year. It's all part of the Global Youth Leadership Program, which is a fancy way of saying what? It's a mouthful for what this program is, Jasmine. So just give us an overview of what the mission is of this program.
Well, the mission of the Global Youth Leadership Program is to enhance the lives of youth within the county, and also to empower them with the opportunity to travel abroad, but also to embrace cultural experiences, as well as to further increase their opportunity to acknowledge scholarship and service within the community.
So it's like an exchange program, but so much more. What'd you say?
Yes, it is somewhat more, because at the culmination of a time period that we basically educate them on these opportunities, we take them abroad to experience, life and culture of different areas within the world.
Now, John, they've gone in the past 5 years to Turkey, South Africa, Germany, Brazil, and China. How do you choose the countries, for one thing?
Well, first of all, I mean, this is a dynamic program, and I have been privileged to see young people throughout the county benefit from it over the past 5 years. I thought it was important to look at some countries that have some of the similar demographic makeup of the citizenry, just like the United States, in terms of black, brown, white, and yellow. And so Brazil is a very diverse country, as is South Africa, and to a certain degree, Turkey, and even Germany is becoming more and more diverse. And I thought it was important for young people from Fulton County to experience some of the things that Jasmine was just talking about, but more importantly, really see how people in other places around the world coexist, regardless of their cultural and racial persuasions and backgrounds. And so we've not only gone and visited these countries, but we've actually delved down low to really see how the social dynamic based on race, ethnicity, et cetera, works. In Germany, for example, we looked at the Nuremberg trials going back to the Nazi era. In South Africa, we looked at the apartheid era in terms of the Afrikaans that were in power, and then the ANC coming in power, and then the society learning to coexist. And even in Brazil, looking at how you have a significant Afro-Brazilian population. These are people of African descent who are in Brazil, who are coexisting with Europeans who've migrated there, as well as the indigenous population. So Jasmine's correct. It's a good leadership program experience, cultural, but more importantly, I want to give our young people here in Fulton County, who are part of a diverse county, to see how other jurisdictions work in terms
experience. And Jasmine, it's kind of a fast-track program, isn't it? I mean, they get a lot of training and immersion in the beginning before they go, and then they have community obligations when they get back.
Yes, they do. During that time period, they actually go over the different aspects, cultural aspects of the country, but then they go through a process of language training, so they take several courses in that, so that once they decide, that it's time, of course, naturally to travel to that respective country, that they can actually communicate once they get there.
Yeah, like on intermediate level, I understand, language-wise.
Absolutely, absolutely. The hours that they are, provided with training in that area fully equip them with the opportunity to engage in regular conversation with those within that native country.
We're looking at Brazil again this year. You've lived in Brazil.
I have.
So
I have.
What are they in for?
They are in for a fabulous experience, not just education-wise, but also culturally. To learn about another country's culture is definitely an experience that there's nothing parallel to it. And my own personal experience living there abroad over a year was definitely one that I've never forgotten.
Now, before we get too many students too excited out there, what exactly is the selection process for the students?
Well, we actually cast a pretty wide net throughout the county. So we recruit from the Atlanta public school system as well as the Fulton County school system. And we've actually also recruited students from independent schools. So we work through principals and counselors in terms of them in turn recruiting and or informing students about the opportunity. And so it's an open process of application. We do look for people who have a minimum GPA requirement. Obviously, a student who resides in the school in Fulton County. But we want to also make sure that we have a good distribution in terms of geography, as well as a good mix according to the demographics of our county. And so I'm very proud of the fact that we've had a significant number of white students, African American students, Latino students, Asian students, which I think reflects the diversity of our county. And it's been a great show in terms of people who have received us, whether it's Brazil or China or Turkey or South Africa or Germany, seeing this wonderful diversity of young people from our county to be there.
And how do we fund this program? Is it a private-public partnership?
It is. It is. When the program was formed 5 years ago, got unanimous support from the Board of Commission. So they authorized the support of the domestic leadership piece. In other words, as Jasmine alluded to, there's a semester-long series of leadership experiences, language acquisition, cross-cultural training, public speaking training, etc. That's funded by the county. And these are training courses that they take place on the ground here in the county, in most cases here at Fulton County Government Center. The leadership, the abroad piece, however, that's funded by private dollars. And so you have corporations, companies, foundations, nonprofits who have generously supported the program through donations. And so that piece has been, that piece has been funded by the private community. We've got in-kind support from airlines, hotels that have also reduced the cost of the program. So it's truly a public-private partnership in terms of the county supporting the leadership component and the private community supporting the overseas or the international component.
And Jasmine, what do they do when they get back? What's the community part of, how do they extend what they've learned on their trip when they get back?
Well, once they arrive back within the county, they actually engage in some opportunity that we ultimately set up through our office to engage those within the schools so that they're able to share their experiences with other students. So the purpose is to allow other students the opportunity to engage in opportunities with our program in the future, but also to get the feedback from other youth, because youth to youth exchange tends to be more acceptable, and also in terms of being successful with youth.
And then there's something part of the program called iWorld, or and they do or also do a UN conference or something.
They participate in learning about different goals associated with the UN. So we incorporate those particular goals into our training process prior to them going abroad.
This was a pet project of yours, and you came up with the idea, and I'm just curious now, after 5 years, whether it's become a model for other counties, or have you had inquiries about others wanting to do a similar thing?
It can be a model. I think it's a great program. Nationally, relatively few people have a passport, and we are increasingly seeing the need of how we're part of a global society, and diplomacy and friendships and relationships around the world. They're all important. And I think that young people have to be exposed. And so this has just been a modest effort on our part to expose young people of Fulton County. And I believe that this program can be replicated by others, particularly with the public-private model that we have in place in terms of public dollars supporting a leadership program for our young people, but the international component that's a part of it, that being used and supported by private dollars. So I think it's a model that could be replicated.
And when we say that the students come have to come from Fulton County. Does this include APS, or is that an integration that we're working on?
It does. I mean, so you have Fulton County School System students. These are students who are in the northern part of the county as well as the southern part of the county. Then you have Atlanta Public School students, those who live in the city of Atlanta, who reside in the city of Atlanta. We go to schools in the city of Atlanta. So they're all obviously a part of Fulton County, but I think that we've done well in terms of getting a balance of Fulton County school students and Atlanta Public School System students. So there are two systems, as you know, within the county.
Yeah. And if students or parents are interested in getting involved in this program or having their children apply for next year, is there a process, a website, a phone number? How does that work for them?
Well, some of that's a little bit of a work in progress, but in the meantime, you can contact the chairman's office, 404-612-8206. Jasmine, of course, is in the office, as well as the Office of Children and Youth Services. They're the ones that actually operate the day-to-day operation of the program.
Okay. It's a huge success, and it's wonderful for the kids.
Absolutely.
Thank you both so much. I know you're looking
Thank
forward
you.
to it this year.
I am.
All right, in a moment, still stuck in traffic every day, Chairman Eaves will be back with a few thoughts on traffic congestion and what the region can do to tackle this problem in the wake of the T-Splosh defeat. Welcome back. As you may know, the transportation tax referendum, commonly known as T-Splosh, went down in flames. Despite Atlanta's ongoing and worsening traffic congestion problem, the voters were in no mood for this particular referendum. So where does the effort to fix the problem go from here, and who will lead that effort? A few words from the chairman.
Well, I'd like to take a moment to reflect on the transportation referendum vote from July 31st. While I was personally disappointed in the result, I'm encouraged by the unprecedented work that was done throughout this entire process. Leaders in this region, both Democrat and Republican, black and white, rural and urban, came together as one, as they had never done before. We received input from over 200,000 citizens. But the voters have spoken, and we need to come together again to work collaboratively as a region, reaching out to our neighbors and friends who disagree with us. Our transportation problems will only get worse, and it is only that much more important that we build consensus to proactively move our region forward. We should not be too discouraged to act together. Remember, MARTA did not pass the first time that it came up for a vote. When this type of vote came up before in the regions with whom we compete, it often did not pass the first time. I look at this not as an end, but rather as a new beginning where we are, as a region, boldly dedicate ourselves to solving our problems. This is a reason our capital city's symbol is the Phoenix. Ours is a region that has faced great challenges in our short history, but we continue to come back stronger and greater than before. As important as transportation might be, we must remember that our people, that you are the reason why Fulton County is great. I believe that we work best when we work together. We should again be a city that looks for new partnerships, not one that chooses to erect walls and divide us. Because let me be clear, the way to success in the 21st century is by improving our connectivity, not by being defined by our differences. I look forward to working with each of you to help us realize that audacious and grand vision of a Metro Atlanta is a city of the 21st century.
And that's it for today. It was fun working with you.
I enjoyed it too.
And that concludes our new edition of the Chairman's Corner.
Well, my friends, feel free to email me or call my office at 404-612-8206 with questions or comments. Thanks for joining us.